Good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting. It is November 17th, 2015, and this is the Ogden City Council meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present, and we'll turn the time to Vice Chair White to announce those who will do our pledge.
Chair Heyer, I've got two willing scouts to come up to the podium and help us out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Come right up to here. All rise. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just real quick before you leave, tell us your name, please. Your names.
Silas Loosley.
Great.
I'm Oliver Loosley.
Thanks for being here.
Sure. Thank you, Scouts. That is really nice to see you in your uniforms, and thank you for your leaders for bringing you tonight. And I also neglected to recognize Council members-elect Nadolski and Lopez. I think he's still here, isn't he?
No, he left.
Or did he leave?
He left.
Well, they were here. Well, please now join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. Councilmember Garner, do you have a motion you'd like to make?
I would like to see if we can move item 4B up first and see if Mr. Nicholas's wife may have a little more time to join us.
Okay, is that a motion?
I'll make that as a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to change the order of our recognitions, switching A and B. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, next item then will be our buy local joint resolution. We've asked Councilmember Blair if he would present that for us tonight.
Thank you, Chair Heyer. This is Joint Resolution 2015-28, challenging and encouraging citizens to join the Ogden City Council and Mayor Michael Caldwell in doing holiday shopping within Ogden City limits. It reads, whereas this holiday season, the Ogden City Council and Mayor Caldwell invite everyone to be aware of the benefits that come from buying locally and to focus this year's holiday shopping and dining in Ogden City limits. And whereas this is a great opportunity to contribute to our local economy and well-being, many do not realize that making a conscious effort to purchase within the city can foster local economic growth, enhance product convenience, make shopping areas more vibrant and less susceptible to crime, and lessen environmental impacts that come from traveling to shop. And whereas shopping locally causes sales tax dollars to stay here in Ogden and provide a direct benefit to city residents. These tax dollars afford Ogden City with the means to not only continue city services, but to improve the city in which we work, live, learn, and play. And whereas we proudly promote holiday shopping and dining at businesses in Ogden, as this will help encourage our community to unite together as we invest in our great city. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ogden City Council and Mayor Michael P. Caldwell are committed to focus on buying in Ogden during this holiday season and challenge all citizens to participate in this endeavor by shopping primarily in stores located throughout the city. We acknowledge and are grateful for the efforts of Local First Ogden and all other community groups who help promote shopping in Ogden. And I will go ahead and make a motion that we adopt Joint Resolution 2015-28.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Blair, seconded by Councilmember Gochner to approve Joint Resolution 2015-28. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? this is something I think is very important, that we try and promote this. It does help the city a lot if we can spend our money here, and it helps not only the business owners, but it helps all of us because of the tax revenue. And maybe we'll say more about that later. But
Yeah.
the next item on our agenda tonight is honorary mayor of Christmas Village. This is a joint proclamation declaring John Nicholas, and I can't imagine a better name for the mayor of Christmas Village. And so we've asked Councilmember Garner if he would present that for us tonight.
Thank you. This is truly an honor for me to read this tonight. John and I have been friends for many, many years. Love his family dearly. So this is a joint proclamation of the Ogden City Council and the mayor declaring November 28th, 2015 as John Nicholas Day in Ogden City. Whereas John Nicholas was born at the D Hospital in Ogden and raised in Sunset, Utah, he attended Davis County Schools where he graduated from Clearfield High School. John joined the U.S. Navy after high school and served 2 tours of duty in the Vietnam War. He pursued an advanced education at the University of Notre Dame, Weber State University, and the University of Phoenix. John and his sweetheart, Eileen Nicholas, have been married for 38 years and have 7 children and 22 grandchildren. And whereas John is constantly looking for ways to improve the world around him, and he finds joy in helping others, he has labored tirelessly to provide Ogden residents with opportunities to enhance their lives through the arts, music, commerce, and community programs. He has been involved in the community service all of his life, including service for Ogden School District, Youth Impact, Gold Foundation, St. Benedict's Foundation, Salvation Army, Children's Justice Center, Ogden City Special Events, and Ogden Business Special Events. If there is ever a need to promote, enhance, or magnify a cause or purpose, John can be found like the wizard behind the curtain, quietly pulling the switches and turning the knobs thanklessly for the betterment of the community. And whereas John worked for Downtown Ogden, Inc. for several years in various capacities and currently works for the Ogden Amphitheater, which he has made come alive for the past 14 years, and John has been heavily involved in Christmas Village, with responsibilities including the sound system, hanging decorations, and developing and running a Christmas program every evening throughout the holiday season. He has assisted the Breakfast Exchange Club in seeing that their needs with the hot chocolate stand are always addressed. And whereas John had a baby daughter born on Christmas Day, and always says believe when it comes to Christmas. He loves Christmas Village, its meaning, and what it brings to the children and families of our community. John's Christmas Village home has won numerous awards throughout the years for his spectacular lighting effects, 9-foot-tall Santa Claus, 2 animated windows that show Santa delivering gifts to the Nicholas home, and even the Grinch trying to sneak around their house. Christmas Village has always held a special place in John's life, and he looks forward to walking through the village every year with his family. Now, therefore, Mayor Michael P. Caldwell and the Ogden City Council do hereby proclaim November 28th, 2015 as John Nicholas Day in Ogden City and declare him the honorary mayor of Christmas Village for 2015. We express our sincere gratitude for his unparalleled contributions to our community and hereby encourage everyone to join us in honoring John Nicholas by visiting and enjoying Ogden's Christmas Village. So it is my honor to propose that we adopt this proclamation in honoring John Nicholas Day.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Garner, seconded by Councilmember Stevens to adopt this proclamation and proclaim November 28th as John Nicholas Day. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Great. Come on up, John, and bring your family with you. Don't forget them.
John, give this to you.
elbow. Thank you. Now, if we could get you to line up here, we'll put your family around you. We'll take a picture. Amy Sue's already warming up the shutter on that camera.
So
Not that I don't want to.
Which way do you want me to? Who's sick? I don't.
Just keep going.
I'm holding my breath. Thank you. John? You know, as a new politician, you've got to learn to speak, so.
Mayor, honorable council members, Mark, Mr. Cook, it's an honor to be here before you this day. I'm not exactly sure how to even respond. It's a bit overwhelming for me. It's one step up. I enjoyed immensely what I do. That in and of itself is reward for everything. But to have this is pretty awesome. And for that, I thank you. I really do enjoy, and I have been a big part of my life has been around Christmas Village. I look forward to it every year. The only thing that's bad about it now is that it comes around a lot faster than it did when I was a kid. And I was just reminiscing the other day. It seems like yesterday that we were out there enjoying the benefits of the village. And now it's here again. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time of the year. And Ogden just seems to have just an edge over every other town around with Christmas Village. And the support that the Parks Department, the Events Department, and the overall city government as a whole put into that village is evidence of your commitment to the betterment of the city and the community and the people that are involved in the city and live here. What a wonderful place to be. My family, outside of my immediate family, but my extended family, my mom and dad, my grandparents, aunts and uncles, everybody lived in Ogden and grew up in Ogden. 25th Street was kind of a hangout. My father owns Carpenter Paper Company, and they had their primary business here for many years. And there's a building down on the street, 25th Street, that bears my family name. And it was in the family for a while, and now it's gone its way. But we've been around here, and we really do enjoy and love this city and want to continue to support and be part of the miraculous things that are happening here. Once again, I thank you dearly for this opportunity. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience, and I am so glad that you have chosen to make me part of it, and I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Look forward to seeing him in the parade and at the lighting also.
And I'd just like to say, John's there late at night with all the fun events going on. He's at Farmer's Market early Saturday morning, and I don't know if people realize that, a lot of the good things, fun things happening in Ogden would not happen if it weren't for you being there to turn the knobs and work the lights and make everything like that happen. And so, thank you.
I would echo my gratitude for everything that you've done, and it's always nice to have someone willing to take the phone calls as mayor down there over cold hot chocolate when the twinkling lights aren't twinkling and when the garbage runs. So we'll have you on speed dial.
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, next item on our agenda tonight is the reports from the Planning Commission. Off-premise sign cap and replace ordinance amendment. Looks like we'll hear from Mr. Montgomery. Welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the council, what you have before you is a recommendation from the Planning Commission regarding a revision to the sign ordinance. To give you a little brief history of why we're making this amendment the way we're doing it. Back in 2001, the city had enacted a sign ordinance revision that excluded any more off-premise signs. They made all existing off-premise signs non-conforming. That was in place for about 4 years, and then in 2005, there was discussion that with the redevelopment agency's projects along the river, that there were certain billboards that would like to move and relocate. Those were not possible under the present language of the ordinance back in 2001. So a proposal was made, and that proposal took almost a year and a half to come to conclusion that we should enter into a cap and replace program to allow movement of some or desired off-premise signs and have certain regulations on how those movements take place. So the City Council enacted a revision to the ordinance in 2006 to create what we call the cap and replace program. Since that time, we've worked with the various sign companies that have off-premise signs, and as they feel a need, they take down an off-premise sign, they relocate the off-premise sign to other areas, and we have basically kept no increase in off-premise signs, but we relocate them as need be through this cap and replace program. We had a situation then in 2011 as the rezoning took place of the MU zone along the river project that changed the character of that area. With that MU ordinance that said there would be no off-premise signs in the MU area, which previously had been commercial and manufacturing. A sign had been proposed to be located along the River Parkway on Wall Avenue. At that time, we denied the application for that sign permit. That denial was challenged and taken to the Board of Adjustments. The Board of Adjustments ruled in favor of the petitioner that, no, the city acted incorrectly in denying that permit. We challenged that and took it to court. The city challenged it and took it to court. In the court situation, the city lost, and the sign company was awarded that they could install a sign on the Ogden River on Wall Avenue, on the River Parkway area. As we have since worked with the sign company on that sign and trying to find another solution rather than placing the sign on the River Parkway on Wall Avenue, we have come to a conclusion that if we amended the cap and replace provisions and allowed an off-premise sign location to be added to the cap and replace program to Riverdale Road between basically the Y at Washington Boulevard, 35th to 36th Street in this section, and added that as a possible cap and replace program, then the sign company would forego the court case and move the sign that they had proposed on Wall Avenue to a location on Riverdale Road. This map, even though it's not focused, you can get the idea if these red areas are possible locations where off-premise signs could be added along Riverdale Road. The areas that are blank are because there's an existing sign located here, existing sign located here, which under the provisions, a 500-foot distance from any off-premise sign has to be kept clear from any other off-premise sign. But this proposed amendment would allow the possibility of two locations to open up for off-premise signage. As staff looked at this, we felt that this was appropriate, seeing that when we made revisions in 2011 to exclude some areas on Wall Avenue because they had been rezoned now to CBD and MU, this was a fair trade in terms of number of signs that could still be relocated to this location. So the Planning Commission is recommending to you tonight to approve revising the cap and replace provisions of off-premise signage to allow this segment of Riverdale Road, which is in Ogden City, to also be considered as a location where signs could be relocated under this cap and replace program. The recommendation is for approval of this, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions for Mr. Montgomery?
I have a couple. Where would they like to locate the sign? Do they have a
Their proposed
destination?
location would be right here. They've got a sign permit application into the city, and that's pending approval of this ordinance revision. And I also should make mention that one of the conditions of this relocation is that then they drop the court case and the Wall Avenue, pursuing that Wall Avenue location. They have now come into an agreement to do that. That is why this is now before you, that they've agreed to drop that with this provision taking place.
Now, would that be a standard sign, or
It'd be a standard
or would it be
600
electrical?
and, try to remember, what is it, 642 square feet, something like that.
Did they put electrical sign up for that, a digital?
It's not proposed. The application is not proposed as a digital sign.
Along Riverdale Road, how many signs could be placed in that area?
Well, you could place one in this location, and in future you could place one somewhere along this red area here. So what we're doing is basically taking one sign that could have been on Wall Avenue, putting it here, and then they have an option for one other sign. And that is not just this sign company, it's any of the sign companies who want to do the cap and replace program.
Any other questions for Mr. Montgomery? All right, thank you. We would like to accept public input on this proposal. Is there anyone that would like to address the council regarding this? Please give us your name and address. And
Hi, Travis Pate, 2546 Jefferson Avenue. As I had the opportunity to review not only the council packet, but just other information subsequent to the proposal, I had a concern because the ordinance doesn't say whether it could be electric or anything else. And we have an ordinance for how many years ago that just basically talked about gateways to the community. And Riverdale Road obviously is a gateway to the community from Riverdale. Yeah, it was created as a state highway and renamed, I think it was Route 26 in 1910. And there's several buildings along that corridor that reflect a heritage. Lindquist family spent an exorbitant amount of money to build a new office building as you come in and create the gateway next to their mortuary, and then have acquired surrounding properties and cleaned that up significantly. Also, my concern with regards to, in the 2011, which was not mentioned in the packet, and the background information I think could have been a little bit more substantial, was the fact that downward-facing lighting was removed from the ordinance. The cap and replace ordinance originally had downward-facing lighting for any sign, and it was removed for, I haven't been given a reason as to why. And so we continued to do light pollution upward. And also my concern is with regards to lighting. If this passes as currently stands, I would ask Reagan Outdoor Advertising to be a good neighbor and have the lighting dim at certain times, or particularly that other corridor as was shown on the west side of Riverdale Road. That's more directly abutting to the residential neighborhood. And if you've ever had the chance to see a moonrise over Mount Ogden, and just imagine that a blaring sign standing in that other space, because another sign company or the same sign company can decrease their signage somewhere else and relocate it to Riverdale Road. So the cap is there's the limit of signs. But should they replace it, and where we've taken the lighting portion out in 2011, I would like that addressed. And I just want to say, it's great that we can have 2 billboards welcoming people to Ogden that come from the Riverdale area, especially if they're coming down to the junction or anywhere else, or they've come off Interstate 15 a little bit early. and found their way to Ogden that way through Riverdale. It's not a concern as far as obviously the signs do what they're supposed to do. They stand out. But I think technologies, if you look at Rocky Mountain Power and how many celebrations they've done, even in the Ogden Magazine recently with technology and lightings and efficiencies, then I think the same thing, those lights can have a dimmer factor, such as 11 o'clock during the weekdays and midnight on the weekends, that they can dim down significantly. But there's no lighting in the current ordinance. So if we approve this, yes, maybe they'll sue us again, or they'll do it. But I think if it could be tabled, or even we approach them as not adversaries but as business partners. They're business partners. They do business in Ogden, just like Saunders does in Yesco. And I think that because the lighting's not addressed, then it shouldn't be passed as it currently stands. If we're adjusting the ordinance, adjust it so lighting is reflected back into the ordinance. Thank you.
Thanks, Travis. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? All right. Mr. Montgomery, would you like to address those concerns?
Well, the comment about lighting was in a draft ordinance. It never was in the ordinance that was adopted. It was in the draft ordinance of 2005. And that's when we first started to have the discussion about cap and replace. And as I said, that took over a year and a half in process, and that was part of the negotiations that took place. We started off with one concept, and then what the council finally adopted did not have that language, and a couple other items did not have that language. But that was the way we approached and worked out the trade-offs between having Harrison Boulevard taken off of a cap and replace location, having some other things, and those are the trade-offs that we made at that point. So that is what took place back in 2005. Again, it was never in the adopted ordinance. So we didn't see at this point, because of the negotiations that took place then, that being in good faith to now let's bring back all the things we didn't get last time, because this is something we're trying to work with them for them to help us. We're the ones asking to make this change to take the billboard away from the river. And we felt it would not be appropriate to bring up things that we had previously agreed on and settled on as the cap and replace program.
So these were negotiating points for the other locations
back in
during the original-
2005,
right,
2006.
What about electronic billboards? Was that part of the?
We are really kind of silent on that right now, and that's something Mark Straff and I were talking about, the fact that the overall sign ordinance really doesn't address electronic signs. It's something we've been silent on.
The traffic count would never justify an electronic sign on Riverdale Road. You have to have freeway traffic, basically, to justify it. And we've talked to several of the sign companies, and very few of them are interested in having an electronic sign in our boundaries.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So it was kind of one of those pick your battle type thing, and the battle to move it was maybe more important than.
Yeah, in
some other
2005,
points.
2006, when that battle was taking place, the battle was really Harrison Boulevard, and we felt Harrison was more important not to have off-premise signs than the light issue in that.
All right.
Do you have a feel of the sign company, if we suggested to them that the lighting should be looked at, and if they could work with us on the lighting area of it?
Well, again, that was something we didn't look at in terms of this negotiation. There were several things that took place to get us to this point, and at this point, we feel this is the best scenario for all concerned.
Oh, that's a problem with the way the ordinance is now, the lighting and the negotiations aspect of it.
Well, it's not limited to the off-premise signs. We don't require any sign to just be downlit.
All right. Thank you. All right, any discussion or a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2015-48, the off-premises sign cap and replace ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair White, seconded by Councilmember Blair to adopt ordinance 2015-48. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Garner?
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
No.
Councilmember Wicks?
Aye.
Vice Chair White?
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
Aye. That passes 6-1. Councilmember Stevens, you want to put on your reason for your no vote on the record?
I agree with the premise that the trade-off is very viable because along Wall Avenue would not be a positive entity for us, and I think Riverdale Road is the likely place to put those and other signs. The concern I had is with the lighting. I think we need to be very conscious of the lighting of the billboards because it's closer to a residential area and it's closer to the city center. So I think that's an area that we could look at in the future and see if there's any negotiations that can be placed in that aspect of it.
All right, thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name and address clearly for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I'm Peter Egg, 1510 Oak Ridge Drive. So my fellow students and I here are Weber State political science majors. We're very politically active and we spend a lot of time in political classrooms. However, we also wanted to do some practical application with what we've learned, and we wanted to try and get a resolution through the city council. So we had a couple ideas, and one of them was to do a resolution honoring Governor Olene Walker. She's an Ogden native and a Weber State alumni, and we've all personally been impacted by her through our work with the Walker Institute for Politics at Weber State University. So we were here to discuss that. In all honesty, I don't really know all the ways we go about that. So kind of just here to create a dialogue.
Okay, I think maybe we ought to refer you to Mr. Cook at another time, unless you want to talk tonight. But there's
Happy to
probably
visit with him after.
Yeah, why don't you meet with him after the meeting, and he can tell you all the ways to get that to happen.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Jamie Stokes, 3565 Eccles Avenue. I'm also a student at Weber State. I've met quite a few of you before, and I just applaud you for your work with Weber State and Ogden City. I'm here also to propose an idea for a resolution. As Peter was mentioning, I've sent an email through the proper channels, but I also thought that I would come here and give a little bit more context to my idea, and so that's why I'm here. So I grew up in Ogden, love the city, love the landmarks of the city, but I didn't know much about them until I took a class at Weber State where I learned about the architecture of the city. And I learned that numerous landmarks of the city, including this building, which is almost reaching its 76th anniversary, Perry's Egyptian Theater, the Eccles Conference Center, the Forest Service Building, Ogden High, all of these notable landmarks were created by the same architect, Leslie Hodgson. So after I learned about this, I was really surprised I hadn't learned about that before, and I really wanted to do something to honor the work that he had done for the city in making it what it is and making it the unique city that has gotten so much national acclaim today. So I was hoping to get a resolution passed in honor of Leslie Hodgson and hoping to get a Leslie Hodgson Day created in Ogden City. I think this would be important to me and also Mr. Hodgson's living relatives, but as well as the city of Ogden. I think it really fits in with the recent efforts that have been made to renovate. I mean, we spent how many dollars renovating Ogden High, and I think it'd be really neat for the city to know who had created that building in the first place. So mainly I'd like to get this resolution on the agenda in order to raise awareness about this great Ogdenite. He was from Ogden, and he was known as the man who made Ogden. I mean, he made the city great, but he also literally made the city. I think that this would be really meaningful to the heritage of Ogden as we continue to renovate and kind of brand the city. And so I just ask that you all consider this as you continue to make your agendas in the future, and I thank you for your time on this. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamie. Anyone else?
Travis Payton. I haven't moved in the last few minutes, and with the Leslie Hodgson resolution, or as that moves, I'd ask that you'd work with the Weber County Heritage Foundation. We just approved a financial stipend to actually publish a biography for him, of Leslie, and then also jointly with that, obviously the system works because you can see with the ordinance, but I think now that that's also part of the potential cap and replace. If we go to the sign companies and say, here's what we have, here's some of the options, here's what we're looking at, particularly lighting. Like I said, things can dim down after midnight, and you still have the visibility because your eyes are more night sensitive anyway. And I think that rather than treating it adversarial, it's not a Pandora's box. Oh, we have to have all the sign companies in. As far as I've seen from the 2001 thing, they all came together and sat in the office for early Greg's for weeks on end and worked diligently. And I think that they are a friendly bunch in that sense. That's not an adversarial approach. And so I think it's something that we can put on the agenda item and say, how do we address this so that close to a neighborhood can have a dim down, that close to a neighborhood can have a view of the mountains. And I just think that those are some of the things that if we approach them, then it's on our terms, not so much knee-jerk reaction. Oh, we've settled a lawsuit, so here's how we do it. No, a great part on the staff and the attorney's part. I think that's should be commended. Probably the hours and hours that went into that. And so I think that. So I just want to say I applaud the administration and staff for their diligent efforts in this, and I think it's something that we can be proactive instead of reactive. And so let's look particularly with the one that's on 36th Street, if that's the proposed one and that's where it goes, great, it's already business district, it's already pretty well lit. But if we have one closer to town, closer to the antique buildings and the heritage buildings, I think that we need to address that for any other corridor also. And so I'd say that we need to be proactive in that regards, looking at the ordinance that you bring up versus a knee-jerk reaction from Planning Commission staff or any other business, that we actually address it and update it. Because I know it is a living, breathing document, so to speak, for the ordinances and those types of things, particularly gateways. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Jared Loosely. I live at 2532 Jefferson Avenue, just a few blocks away from here. I saw in an upcoming notice that there's going to be some discussion about Lester Park and additional parking that's going to be happening there. I'm concerned about that discussion coming up and what the need is for additional parking. I live less than a half a block away from the park. My wife and I like to go on walks there. I take my kids there quite often. I've never seen that parking lot full. There is, from my understanding, plenty of parking there. There's plenty of parking on the streets. I also understand that the county has a design charrette that is going to be taking place in the springtime that covers more of a master plan for the park. And so I think that the parking should be addressed in an overall master plan for Lester Park. Lester Park is a great asset for the community, for the city, and I think we should treat it as a great asset. Once we pave over an additional portion of the park, we're never going to get that back. And realistically, once it's done, it's never going to happen. So I'm very concerned that might go forward without having a master plan in place for that. So I want the council to consider that. I'd like it taken off the agenda until after the design charrette is completed so that we can look at this as an overall master plan for the city of Ogden. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Jared. Anyone else?
Brian Wallace. Ogden Skydiving Center, 3463 Airport Road. I was the guy last week that was talking with the skydive pictures. This one I was most proud of. Talking today, I kind of wanted to meet you guys again and see if I could talk better than last week. I mentioned I wanted to throw you guys out of an airplane, and we had some pretty nice weather. Last weekend, I didn't see you guys. That offer is still out there. We are winding our season down. I would love to have any of you guys come out, show you what we're doing out at the airport. The other picture, I forgot this gal's name, Juliana Huff, is by the bathroom, the skydiver doing the jump by the restroom. And so we're kind of a big deal. It says that on our website, I read that on there, but Ogden City is also a pretty big deal. With iFly, we're bringing in people from all over the world. They're coming in to jump and spend time with some really talented kids inside the iFly. We have to really work, as I said last week, with a lot of entities. Today I went to the Salt Lake Tower. We had a safety meeting. I got to go up into the tower and see their operation. Last week I mentioned we're next to Hill Air Force Base, all our airspace issues. And I kind of forgot all the other people we work with, our fellow aviators, the Ogden Regional Airport Association, and even you folks. We have to work with the city. And it really made me think, I have a fun job, and thinking of you guys, your job's not so easy. So my hat's off to you guys, the ladies leaving the council. Good job. Our airport plan was recently, there was a new plan that was in the books presented, and we really get it. If Ogden grows to that 20-year plan, if there's a lot of airlines, we don't fit into the plan. If there's so many airliners coming in and out of there, it just wouldn't work. They'll never let us jump at Salt Lake International. I actually got to jump there actually kind of close, and it was quite a bit of ordeal to jump next to those guys. After the comment period, I'd love to hear anything. You have any comments on the airport at all? I'd love to hear anything. Thank you.
Brian, any other comments? Okay, comments from our mayor.
I do. A couple quick comments. The airport plan, as you mentioned, that is far from being in stone. That's a dynamic living document, and we are certainly looking to accommodate all of those uses, and certainly the people that have been there for a long time. So I appreciate your being willing to be involved in that process and to have your voice be a part of that. I think that's very important as we look at the future of that airport and what's going to happen there. And then I couldn't help but notice as the weather turned and I hustled in from the parking lot, all of Jay's guys out. Oh, did he just leave? Gone. Out hanging those lights and doing the work that they do out there. I wanted to publicly thank Jay and his Public Works crew for putting Christmas Village together and for the magic that they work out there. That's kind of a little more miserable as the weather turns, and we appreciate the work they do. And appreciated the buying local ordinance because that helps us pay for said Christmas Village. So I encourage everybody to shop local so we can continue doing that. That's it.
Thank you. Council members.
I echo what the mayor said. I think the airport can be a very viable entity to Ogden, and it speaks of what we're looking for toward the future, but we need to take into account those individuals who are already there at the airport, because you've added a great deal at the present time to the way the airport has been conditioned. Christmas Village is just a gem at this time of the year and going into the Christmas season. Hundreds of people come and visit that and enjoy the village that is there, and it's a unique village. It is special to not only me and my family, but it's special to everyone that comes and visits and can gather in that Christmas spirit, which is so valuable to us. And it brings people to the city, which we are very hopeful. One other comment is I think it's important for us to look at Lester Park. It can be a destination park, and I would encourage us to, as a council, to look at a master plan for that park so that we can incorporate that into the remodeling and the additions to the library so that we can make both entities a success. I think that's very important. But we have to look and see what we want that park to be, and I think that's very important for us. And so it's necessary to work with the community that's around there and find out exactly what they're anticipating the park to look like, and then look at the opportunities for the library and see what they're looking at, and maybe come up with a program that both entities can be successful in what they're trying to do. And so I'd encourage us to look at a master plan for that park sometime into the future.
Thank you. Any other council member comments?
Just want to thank the students from Weber State University and Travis Pate. It is important for us to hear your voice and to hear your concerns, and we do look at these things very seriously. The proposal we had tonight was for a very small area of Ogden, but Travis brings up a good point that we need to probably look at the whole city and bring up these issues and look at them citywide. And that's why it's important for us to hear what some concerns are, because we shouldn't have, just a narrow focus on one thing, but look at things that may be very beneficial throughout the city. And even your proposals of honoring certain people throughout the community that have made Ogden a big deal, as I was mentioned by our airport guys. So thank you for your input.
Other comments? I'd also like to thank the students. It's always good to see people of your young years being involved in what's going on around you, and particularly what's happened in the past. That helps to shape our future. Appreciate you being here and your interest. Also, I'm mindful of Brian Wallace and appreciate his good work out at the airport. Been there for a long time and been one of the items that makes Ogden Airport unique and enjoyable. Appreciate the work that you do out there. Thank you so much. And also want to kind of rally the buy local. That's something that I think if we really understood the numbers, we would be all making sure that we buy our groceries local, we buy our everything local as much as possible, and see if we can put Amazon out of business. So anyway, all right.
I would like to take it one step further and encourage people not only to buy in Ogden, but to buy from Ogden-owned businesses, because the multiplier effect with locally owned businesses is much greater than even chains that send their profits back to wherever their headquarters are. So
Yes, thank you. Good point.
I would challenge people to, really make an effort to support our great local businesses, because they're what makes Ogden unique. It's not the chains. So.
Thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is consideration of adjourning into a closed executive session. Do we have a motion?
Chair Heyer, I'll make a motion that we adjourn into a closed executive session as outlined.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Garner, seconded by Vice Chair White, to move into a closed executive session. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Garner?
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner? Aye. Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Vice Chair White?
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
Aye. Just as a reminder, we will, at the conclusion of the closed executive session, we will come back into this room to adjourn the meeting. And then we have a few other meetings after that. They are also on the agendas. Well, welcome back to our November 17th, 2015 Ogden City Council meeting.
A lot of great things.
We have reconvened after our closed executive session, and I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Weber State.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Wicks, seconded by Councilmember Garner to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Several events in honor of Willard. which ushered in a new era of college-town collaboration.
Oh.
Regardless of who leads the
Voices from on high.
I do like the video, though. It's more helpful to see it also.